Okay, calling the meeting to order.
Okay.
Mauricio?
Commissioner Lama,
Here.
Commissioner Vizcarra,
Here.
Vice Mayor Joseph,
Here.
Commissioner Stuyvesant is absent, Mayor Svechin.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Great, thank you. Honorable Norman Edelcup, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Since you're the only one here. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible.
with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So, folks, we only have two items on the agenda today, since this is
No invocation?
no invocation special meeting to approve our millage and our proposed budget. So I'd like to volley it over to our city manager, who had a few words, I believe.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, I've asked the Deputy City Manager and department heads that they don't need to attend this meeting because we've reviewed the budget with all of you through our numerous workshops and one-on-one meetings. At our last workshop, there was consensus among you all for me to put together a budget based on a lowered millage rate of 1.9, and that is what I present to you today. After your approval, this will make us the second lowest millage rate in Dade County. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, do I have any public speakers?
Mayor, if I can read the resolution into the record.
Please.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, adopting the City of Sunny Isles Beach tentative ad valorem tax millage levy rate at 1.9000 mils per $1,000 of taxable assessed value, which is 6.81% more than the rollback rate of 1.7789 mils for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Great, thank you.
And there are no public speakers.
Okay, fantastic. Given that we've had extensive conversations about this, I'm imagining that someone's ready to make a motion.
No?
I'd like to speak.
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. You guys have been spared my lengthier comments. It's given that I've been out sick, so I ask that you indulge me today. Given the Commission's budget and millage discussions, it's pretty clear to me that there are two schools of thought at play. One is to lower the millage rate and the amount of tax revenue the city collects. This would be sufficient to fund our present needs. The other point of view, the one I favor, is to keep our historically low millage rate as is, which is 2.0, and fund our present needs as well as plan for our future. One view seeks to put a few dollars in your pocket, and my view seeks to secure continuity of service and quality of life. I'm not against lowering our millage rate or making smart cuts to our budget. Remember, I voted to lower the millage rate last year to the historic low we enjoy today, while still making many improvements. I'm against lowering the millage rate this year under the current economic climate. The surrounding affluent cities with low millage rates have come to the same conclusion as our team initially reached. And then this commission asked our experts to work against their better judgment and produce a budget that would fit 1.9. And here it is, a budget that will not sink us into the ground, but will certainly not propel us to new heights. A budget that's looking at whether the city can survive on less revenue, not focused on how to thrive or whether we're maximizing what we are giving back to our residents. In short, a budget with trade-offs. We as a community will not be better off with this budget. We will pay with our quality of life. For those who beat the less government drum, I say, I agree. To me, an example of less government is not enacting ordinances that duplicate state law. When we eliminate a program or reduce the number of community events or the quality of those events, that's diminished services, a budget trade-off, not necessarily less government, and there is a difference. As a basic example, when more crossing guards were needed, we didn't say, no, because, less government. We protected our children. We need to be prepared to accommodate changing needs at a time of high and rising inflation. I agree with the experts. This is the year for us to hold steady. Even though property values and tax revenue have gone up for all municipalities in Miami-Dade, so have expenses. Consider insurance alone. And we have to deal with that reality in a forward-looking and responsible way. Lowering the millage in our current economic climate is a conscious rejection of our commitment to excellence. Keep in mind that we have traditionally relied heavily on TDR monies, which will soon end. We benefited from ARPA funds, which are already spoken for. We rely on property taxes, which can fluctuate. Reducing the city's revenue at this time is simply counterintuitive. For perspective, the difference in my municipal taxes between last year and the proposed 2.0 this year is less than $5 for the year. The 1.9 is actually less. In a scenario where a family is struggling under various financial pressures, being able to safely attend an event or enjoy a carefree afternoon, or to receive a bike helmet when one has been lost, or to feel confident that the crossing guards will help children get to and from school, that is worth more than the $5 I could otherwise keep in my pocket. I don't want to compromise our quality of life over such a de minimis sum, and neither do many of our residents. Sunny Isles Beach offers a lot of benefits to its residents. For example, movie nights, some senior fitness classes and meals, access to our parks, playgrounds, beaches, and the maintenance of all of that, the academy, teen talk and activities, Wednesday market, new shuttle buses and improved routes, lifeguards, and a much improved police department, which is on the verge of accreditation. There's also programs we subsidize so our residents can have affordable activities. I assure you, these costs are not decreasing. If we purposely take in less revenue while experiencing increasing costs, the city may not be able to meet unanticipated needs. Lowering the millage rate means we are choosing to limit our ability to respond to problems. When faced with a crisis, we may have to raise the taxes, which is politically unlikely, further deplete our savings, which will limit how we fund other needs, amendments, or emergencies, or get used to not having nice things, right? And this is the free and, in my opinion, most likely option. Another possibility is to take out loans at interest rates we would not otherwise have to pay if we planned properly and built up reserves. As the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you want to improve or maintain the current level of service and standard of living, we need to keep our historic low millage rate. This is how we benefit the greatest number of residents. To drop it further can have a negative impact at a time of high inflation. Holding steady is less likely to do that. When elected officials were tasked to bringing forward their ideas for their new fiscal year, the mayor brought forward cuts so she can focus solely on cuts. For those of you who brought ideas for programs and improvements to Sunny Isles, who are thinking big, like police station, performing arts center, or a big vision for the underpark, you are in a difficult position if you also want to lower the millage. Big ideas are not cheap, and they require ongoing maintenance. If you have big goals to improve Sunny Isles, 1.9 is not your millage. You don't have to roll the dice in the midst of economic uncertainty. Better to hold steady and reevaluate next year. We can still be proud of having the lowest millage rate in our history. In the meantime, we can be good stewards of taxpayer dollars, not by giving us a few dollars in our pockets and claiming political victory, but by preserving all of our services and commitment to excellence. And I've been saving that for the past 2 meetings, so thank you for indulging me.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, did you want to say something?
Yes, I would like to say that I believe that there is still cutting that can be done in this budget. We mistakenly, the commission voted for a dune master plan that when the draft plan came through, it was turned out that the committee, the ESAC committee, misrepresented the dune master plan, and the commission was caused to vote on something that was totally different than what had been drafted.
Okay, that's not what we're
excuse-
discussing
I
right now.
understand.
Wait,
I'm
wait, wait,
talking
wait,
about-
wait. We have to stay where this is,
There-
we're not going to rehash something that's already voted on.
Well,
We're talking about the
These are
millage.
budget cuts.
We're
These are
talking about
budget
the
cuts.
millage.
Yes, and that has to do with budget cuts.
No, the millage has nothing to do with budget cuts. We're just discussing
Whenever I
midget.
speak, I seem to always get cut off when I'm making a good point. So I need to be able to be allowed to continue to make my point as anyone else is. So please. would
You may
again
continue
give
as
the
long
floor?
as you stay on topic.
I'm absolutely on topic. When I read the draft, and I called, there was actually $125,000 shared cost that was not presented to the commission, that was in the Dune Master Plan. Did anyone on the commission happen to see that? Commissioners, did you happen to read the Dune Master Plan? So did you see that the additional costs that weren't presented correctly originally, that you voted on?
Again, Vice Mayor, what does this have to do with the millage?
There's also, for this year, there's an additional $40,000 in the budget for Dune Master Plan issues that should be taken out of the budget. Is that correct, Mr. City Manager?
I'd have to call up Audra or Tiffany to ask about that.
That's what I was told,
Right.
that there's an additional $40,000 in the budget.
Oh, okay. Where is it in the budget book that you saw this?
This is what I was told when I questioned it
By whom?
by Stan.
I don't recall
If you
the
can,
discussion.
please.
This is
Okay.
strictly on the millage rate.
Right, so if we
need
can
to-
just move
I
on.
understand. Okay. There's another issue I would like to bring up because I understood that there was a commissioner or two, another commissioner or two, that was questioning the cost regarding the meditation garden. Is there anyone on the commission that is rethinking the meditation garden?
Vice
That
Mayor,
would-
I'm
that
just
would- That
asking
would be
you
a cut of
to,
an additional $1 million out of the budget?
okay, we're
Anyone?
on 3A right now.
Well, I understand, but we're talking about,
Well,
and
when-
I'm going on what Commissioner Viscara just spoke about, that the millage rate is lowering the millage rate is going to cost the city $1.5 million. So I'm tonight bringing up additional issues that could be cut from the budget to make up for that difference.
Okay,
Is there anything wrong
here's
with
what,
that?
there is, because we
There
had an
is.
extensive additional workshop, and
But we're
the
sitting
city, wait,
here
hold
in an
on.
open forum
No,
where we can all speak.
We were in an open forum. The city manager added a workshop that was not scheduled in order for us to work through any additional.
That's on the 21st, I understand.
One second, and if there was additional requests or cuts. At that time, there was no consensus to cut any of what you're speaking of. Right now, what we're doing is we are voting based on the discussion we had at the workshop. So this item, the 3A, did you want to say something about the millage?
If I can't speak about additional cuts to the budget along with the millage, then I don't want to speak about it at all, and I'll defer my vote.
You can speak about the budget for when we get to 3B. This is about 3A, just the millage rate.
So then I have nothing else to say about the millage rate.
Okay.
Okay. So just wanted to put this into context so you have a little perspective, because obviously there's been a lot of political theater going on with this millage rate, which, I think it's unfair for the citizens because, things are being advertised a certain way, which is not truthful. So I have two properties. I have a rental property here in Sunny Isles Beach, and I have my homestead where I live. So I'll give you some numbers, okay? This is for my rental property, okay? Last year's taxable value was $247,555. The millage rate was 2.0. And the taxes I paid to Sunny Isles Beach was $495.11. This year's taxable value is $272,310, okay? Now, if we go to the rollback rate, which that's not being proposed, just so you have some context, okay? My taxes will be $484, okay? If we go to a millage rate of 2.0, meaning we keep it the same, my taxes will be $544.62. And if we go to 1.9, my taxes will be $517.90. So if we compare last year at 2.0 with, if we keep it at 2.0 this year, the difference will be $49.51. And this is for a rental property, okay? Now, if we compare, okay, this year, okay, versus rollback rate versus this year at 2.0, it'll be a difference of $60. And 2.0 for this year versus 1.9 for this year, millage rate, the difference will be $26.72. Okay, so you're looking at numbers that are not high. That is at a taxable value of $272,000. Let's say we multiply that by 10, right? And we go last year 2.0 millage rate versus this year 2.0 millage rate. $49 times 10, it'll be a difference of not even $500 on a $2.72 million taxable value. So let's put these things into context because there's been a lot of emails going out. There's been a lot of posturing where you're trying to advertise to the public that you're here to, you know, for their benefit. And the way things are being advertised is as if, you know, you're going to save them a lot of money. And that is not the case, okay? So we need to be honest with the citizens. We already, at 2.0, we're already one of the lowest municipalities. If you look at that chart and you take out unincorporated Miami-Dade, we're at number 2, I believe, already, okay? We're at number 3, sorry. So, you know, we're the 3rd lowest municipality when property taxes are concerned. So we need to take that into consideration. Now, if I take my homestead property, okay, and we're looking at 2.0 millage rate of last year versus 2.0 millage rate for this year, the difference will be $13, okay? I'll have to pay $13 more per year. If we go rollback rate versus 2.0, it'll be a difference of $41. And if we go this year 2.0 versus this year 1.9, it's $18. So what are we talking about here? Can somebody give me an answer here? When we're looking at the hard numbers?
Okay, so
Seriously, I mean, because I understand that we need to be conscious and we need to give people a break. And that's why we already have one of the lowest millage rates. But let's be truthful here. Because, you know, as a commission, we also need to be mindful of what our priorities are. I'm extremely worried about our comp plan. I'm extremely worried because it's a comp plan. We inherited a mess from the second administration here. It was never fixed. They received a letter from the state asking for them to fix it, and they slept on it. So we need to look at priorities. We need to fix a lot of things. So we wasted a lot of time going back and forth with revisions, et cetera, et cetera. So I just say that, you know, let's please refocus. Let's look at our priorities. Either way, we go 2.0 or 1.9. To me, it's irrelevant. To me, the whole point here, and I think what we've lost here, is that we fell into the whole trap of political theater. And we need to kind of refocus and look at what our priorities are. We cannot play these games, especially with the residents of the city. Okay? We need to be responsible and we need to be conscious of this because it's really frustrating.
Okay, so regrettably, Commissioner Simonson isn't here, and I just have a few words because I was not expecting this. The reason I was not expecting this is that we spent a significant amount of time at the workshop in order to be able to have a public meeting that the public was invited to, that based on that workshop, the manager went back and made these changes. So my concern is that we are at a critical point right now where this budget needs to be approved in order for us to move forward and do business. This is not about $40. This is not about political theater. I'm not exactly even sure what you're talking about specifically. We've been all working very, very hard together and making concessions, and at the same time adding programming, as I'm looking at some programs that were added. So I need to know what we're doing with 3A. Right now, based on the workshop, the manager went back and lowered it by a tenth. This is consistent with what the county has done. I was in a meeting earlier with Mayor Levine Cava, and this is exactly what the county has done as well in order to provide some sort of assistance. This isn't about $40. So we're not going to go back and forth with this. We need to make a decision today. So I either am getting a motion for 1.9 or I'm not. Did you want to say something, City Manager?
Yes, I just wanted to say that based on our last workshop, as you stated, we took the consensus of the group and we built that into the budget. At this point, we have the millage rate listed at 1.9, and we need to get the millage rate and the budget approved so that we can move forward.
Okay.
May I speak?
Please.
Listen, I'm okay with the 1.9, okay? I just need to make sure that people understand what we're doing here, and they understand what the numbers say and what the truth is. And that's all I'm concerned about. Because going back to political theater, there's been a lot of disinformation going out there, okay? There's been a lot of posturing, not necessarily from us, but I think that people, we need to kind of go back to square one, look at what the reality is, and make people understand that. We were already one of the lowest, okay? Their taxes were insignificant, especially when you're looking at the overall taxes. You know, what we collect is less than 12% of what people pay. You know, if we were really concerned about, you know, what people are paying, obviously we would need to go to the county, to the school board, who's probably the entity that collects the most. So, yeah, I think that perhaps we should lobby other entities that are collecting the most in property tax revenues. So that's basically my take on this and my opinion on it.
Okay.
I think that we need to be conscious. We need to use our time wisely. We need to look at the facts, do the math. I mean, this is all about math, millage rate, and this is simple math I did. And, you know, when you look at that reality, you open your eyes. I mean, you look at things differently. And the reality is that we're already at the lowest, 2.0, 1.9. It's really, to me, it's irrelevant. I do appreciate as a resident, too, that, you know, every weekend or, you know, a lot of the weekends, and some of the residents have come to me and say, oh, this is great, you know. I don't have to go outside of the city to entertain my family, or I don't have to go outside of the city and to entertain myself. Why? Because we have worked hard to be able to make the residents happy. And I think that's something that we could all agree that we want to keep doing,
And
right?
I would hate to compromise. That's my thing. Like, I would hate to compromise that. For me, you know what my number is? $4.52. For $4.52 to cost the city $1.5 million when we don't know what the increasing costs are going to be, because we don't know. This is an uncertain time. Why would we shoot ourselves in the foot in the middle of a chaotic time and compromise those nice experiences? I've been a single mom who appreciated, I mean, I'm still a single mom, but, you know, who appreciated not having to leave the city, the affordable entertainment. You know, like, that's valuable. For $5, I'll pay that and more.
See, but I'm taking
Okay,
it a step
so
further.
I know.
I'm asking the commissioners to rethink some votes
All
that
right.
may have been made mistakenly, where there's $1 million something in the budget that could be cut on rethinking an issue.
Okay, again, we all discussed this during the workshop, so if those who were there changed their mind about the millage, we couldn't vote at the workshop. So right now, in order for us to move ahead to the next item, I need to get a motion to accept the millage as stated by the city manager. Do I have a motion?
I will move to 1.9, but please, let's keep in mind that we should prioritize certain things regarding the city, okay? And that I think 1.9, I'm okay with it, but let's be mindful of what we want to accomplish too in the coming years. We have a lot of capital expenses coming up. We have certain ideas. We all have certain ideas that we want to accomplish too. So I hope that in the future we don't have to borrow money. We don't have to bond that out if we have any major expenses that we want to do, like a police station, any other capital expense projects. I mean, I think that when you're talking about budgeting, you know, the basic premise of it is that you need to plan ahead. So I think that's what our experts have been asking for. 2.0 to 1.9, to me, it doesn't make a big difference. So I will move.
All right, Commissioner Lamba, you'll get to speak about the budget in the next item. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
So I would like to say I move to defer 3A and skip to 3B and then come back to 3A.
Okay, we have a motion right now, so on the floor.
And if I may, excuse me,
Please.
Mayor. So Florida Statute 200.0652E specifically mandates that you first decide your millage rate before you decide your budget.
Right. So,
Mayor?
please.
If I may? Okay. This budget process, as we've talked about, has been going on since April. We've gone back and forth. The finance director, deputy city manager, assistant city manager, myself, have spent considerable amount of time and effort to put the budget together. And we base that on our individual workshops and the goals as set by the commission, starting with our philosophical workshop. At this point, we've put the budget together based on the consensus of our last workshop, where we went through, and we literally have done this with many of you, where we've gone line by line through the budget. So at this point, for us to change anything, we need to get the millage rate adopted. I appreciate all of your points, but in order for us to continue moving forward as your government, I think the 1.9 is based on the consensus of the commission, and we need to move that forward, and it has to be now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And just for clarification, and I know we have a motion on the table, but based on the 1.9 and the discussion we had at the last commission meeting, was there any significant programming that was cut? And I know we're talking about the millage, not the budget, but I just want to make sure that it's clear for everyone so that we can move on to 3B.
Right. We eliminated the Sister Cities program, or the funding for the program, not the program itself. We've also made some cuts in the donations. We've also cut some of the special events. But in terms of the level of service, we will still be able to provide level of service to our residents. And that's why we've made some slight adjustments throughout the budget for you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I have a motion and I need a second. All right, if we don't have a second, we have a problem here because we can't move on to the budget. So, Mr. City Attorney, can you please clarify what we need to do?
Well, you have two problems, because not only can't you move on to your budget, but you are required to pass and enact tentative. So
Okay.
you all have to
All right, so-
discuss it until you reach some kind of
Can I
agreement.
make a motion for 2.0?
No, we have a motion on the table right
I thought
now.
it failed.
So it failed on a second.
Well, I can pass the gavel? Or make a second?
You can pass the gavel to the paper, yes.
Okay,
To make a second.
yes. So I second it. So now I can take a vote.
I don't accept the gavel.
What? do you mean you don't accept the gavel?
I don't have to accept the gavel.
Procedurally, that's not the way that it works.
He doesn't have to accept the gavel.
Okay. So if we have a failed motion on the 1.9 procedurally,
Procedurally, that motion fails, but you all, at some point this evening, have to pass some motion setting your tentative millage rate. So whether that's an alternate motion for a different millage rate, or you keep discussing until somebody is convinced on the 1.9, but unfortunately, you're sort of relegated to having to come to that
Okay.
decision this evening.
all right, so I am going to speak about the millage then, because I think that it's important to discuss some of the points that were made, not necessarily so that we get to 1.9, 2.0, or 1.8. It's for the clarification of what has happened in the last, I guess, 6 months or more. When I counted the amount of meetings that we've had since the beginning compared to last year, like I've said, we've had at least 2 more official meetings, but behind those meetings, we've had, at least I have personally, and from what I understand from the city manager, so has everyone in this commission, significant conversations, many more than in years past, certainly since I've been sitting on this commission. The amount of feedback we got from the public, again, more than I've gotten in past years. To your point, Commissioner Lama, about emails or politicizing, we have been elected to represent the people, and we should not be reactive based on 1 or 2 emails. While it's great to hear from everyone, ultimately we have to make these decisions based on our conversations with the staff and what we hear from each other and from the experts. So I understand what you mean, and I understand that it sometimes gets a little bit chaotic when people start sending us emails, but ultimately we have to also remember all those people that didn't send us emails, and it can go either way. It could go in support or against. My point is that I think that together we have been working fairly well to have these discussions in order to get to a point that we all can agree on. Looking at this budget, especially some of the things that were added that are new, I don't think that we have trade-offs. In fact, I think, if anything, we have additions.
Are we discussing the budget now?
No,
in
I'm talking
relation to
about
the millage? Because I'd
You're
like
not-
to say something.
Okay,
then.
Vice Mayor, you're not recognized right now. I'm speaking. So my point is that, for instance, as a concession, or there was discussion about how much was being spent last year or this year on the city anniversary, and I personally had a conversation with the city manager, and I said, it would be great if we actually did something for 4th of July. Why can't we combine those 2 things? Because everyone does something for 4th of July, since we are spending so much money at that time already. And so looking at this budget, it's actually a significant increase from last year because of the capital improvements, because of some of the other additions. So I do not see any trade-offs. I think that we continue to have nice things. In fact, looks like we're going to have a lot more nice things, which is great. And that's in response to the fact that our real estate value is over $2 billion more. So forget about, it's very enticing to speak about the dollar amount, and I understand what you're saying, that it's only $40 or $45 or $5. It's different amounts for different people, but the overall, the $1.6 million, you're right, it's a small amount, but for me, it's consistent with what the county is doing. It's more of a philosophy of how we're looking at it, so that when we're looking at this money, we're treating everything like as if it's our money, because ultimately it is our money. So I don't want to rehash our workshops tonight. I think we do need to move forward. So if you all want to speak about it more, I'm happy to, but I think at this point we are at a critical situation. So I know, Commissioner Lama, perhaps you wanted to say something. I saw you starting to.
No, I mean, I think overall, we've been very responsible with the budget. We're, we're looking at cuts. Obviously, we have an increase, a significant increase from last year because of the CapEx, capital improvements. And, 2.0, 1.9, it's what, $1.4 million difference. As far as philosophy is concerned, I think part of the philosophy too is that, we give the residents the best service we can. I think residents lately have been very happy with that. I think that that our anniversary party was a prime example of that. I mean, before we had the barbecues at 2 p.m., it kind of got stale, right? It was like a stale idea that kept on continuing. So we're giving, our residents, we have a lot of activities at Gateway Center, so we're trying to improve. Hopefully, eventually, if we do approve a 1.9 millage rate, that 1.5 over a period of, let's say, 7-8 years, it adds up to something, right? But I think, on the other hand, not only entertainment and activities, the infrastructure of the city. Some of our buildings need to be refurbished. They need to be improved. Water intrusion at Gateway Center, water intrusion at our own government building is very real, and that's a big expense. And then eventually our parks need to be refurbished too. And because some of the equipment is old, whatever it might be, budgeting is all about planning, right? And being responsible with that. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want, if the city manager can please address some of those comments as far as what is in the budget, because I understand all those things to be in the budget. And then, Vice Mayor, you recognize after that.
In terms of the special events, yes, we still have programming for our city anniversary and other like events. We also have budgeted for Gateway Park and this building's improvements. So we do have that allocated in our budget. Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Okay, so I'm now allowed to speak only about the millage zone?
Please go ahead, since we're
Okay.
going to be here for a while now.
Yes, excellent. Okay, so I understood at the last workshop that Commissioner Lama was rethinking the meditation garden. Commissioner Lama, do you still have additional thought that maybe that was, that you've rethought the meditation garden for 1.3 million plus continued maintenance?
Go ahead.
Well, what I said is we voted on that already. My point to staff was to make sure that is built well, and that some of the issues that I was concerned with are addressed, like the mosquitoes and other thing. I do believe in a space for adults. We've been talking about it for a while. A lot of residents have come up to me stating that they believe they need a space for adults, and I think the meditation garden will serve that purpose.
There's a space across the street at Sampson Park.
Please, one at a time.
Sampson Park is not a space for adults. I mean, have you been there at night or earlier in the day? There's a lot of kids there. There's people traversing all the time, going to and from the beach. So I don't see Samsung as a space for adults, really. I think that the location of the meditation garden at the back of the town center, I think it's the most ideal space that we have in the city.
So for the
So
purposes
that's
of
it,
clarification, the meditation garden has already been budgeted, and that budget is within a very specific fund that can only be used for that purpose. Is that correct, City Manager?
Yes.
And how much out of those funds has to be directed towards only a meditation garden?
I think we've already budgeted, I believe it was a little over 800,000 for the meditation garden.
So all of that is from the art fund? All
Yeah.
of that is from the art fund?
Yes, it is.
So what is do you have a concern about the 1.9?
1.9?
Yes.
I am for not cutting services to residents, which I'm all for actually providing more services. The amount that it would take to lower the millage rate, the 1.5 million, I still believe that there are cuts that could be made to offset that.
Okay.
I still think that the meditation garden was a mistake, and that could have been corrected. I know Commissioner Lama, I don't know about Commissioner Vizcarra, what her feeling is on that, but I still believe that that is a mistake that would be over $1 million that could offset any amount that would go towards the 1.9.
Okay, so you mentioned that you want to increase services for residents, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So, and yet you want to see other cuts, correct?
There are, yes, I believe that unwarranted or mistaken, bad choices have been made regarding the Dune Master Plan, which we need to revisit to rescind that. I believe that should be rescinded, as well as the meditation garden, which I believe is going to turn out to be a big mistake when it comes in over 1.5 million.
Okay, and I can appreciate that, and those items can be procedurally brought back up, potentially. But regarding the 1.9, do you have a concern with the 1.9?
I don't have a concern as long as other, potential cuts can be considered.
Okay. Mr. Attorney, how do we move this forward?
Well, the motion, the original motion failed. It can be introduced again, or someone can make another motion, but at some point, a motion will have to be made
Okay,
on the millage
so,
rate.
all right, so I believe we're ready to make a motion. Is this correct? Vice Mayor?
We can try.
Okay, so I will take a motion for 1.9.
I already made a motion. Can I make another motion?
Yes, you can do it again. Yes.
Go again?
It's-
Yes.
Yeah?
You can because, yeah, you can,
Okay.
because it failed.
All right, so you're making a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Do a roll call. Commissioner Lama,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Vizcarra,
No.
Mayor Svechin.
Yes,
The resolution passes 3-1.
great, thank you. 3B,
3B is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, adopting an operating capital improvement budget for fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, pursuant to Section 200.65 of the Florida statutes, authorizing expenditures of funds established by the budget, authorizing encumbrances, authorizing issuance of checks, providing for grants and gifts, providing for local and federal law enforcement trust funds, providing for post-audit, providing for servability, and providing for an effective date. And this is first reading.
City Manager?
Mayor, thank you. Vice Mayor, members of the commission, this budget is based similar to the millage on the culmination of many months of meetings and one-on-one discussions that we've all had. We've worked hard to deliver this budget presented to you that reflects a total budget of $184,865,244.
Okay, great. If I could just get clarification before I ask if there's any public speakers, can you please just briefly explain the difference, I think it's $26 million difference from last year, the bulk of that?
I'm going to ask Audrey to
Audrey, please.
come up and explain.
The difference from last year is a significant increase from last year. Just briefly.
Very briefly. Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, City staff. The main reason for the increase is a lot of transfers from the general fund to capital projects. The overall increase is funding things that would have in the past been funded with TDRs in the general fund.
Great, thank you.
And that is the primary reason for the bulk of our increase.
Do we have any public speakers?
Yes, we have one. Juan Lardizabal. Mayor, I believe he needs some help with translation.
Okay,
So,
how,
Spanish.
Hi.
wait,
I
Hi.
can translate.
My English is very poor, but
okay, so let me just, hold on.
What?
Because we're going to be translating, we're going to offer up more
¿Quiere que le
time.
traduzca?
And so if you can just say your name and address for the record, and just so you know, normally it's 3 minutes. If you can translate, Commissioner Viscar, but we're going to give you more time since we're going to be doing,
3 minutes.
but you have more. So if you
Yeah.
can say your name and address for the record.
It's only one reflection.
Just first name, your name and address.
My name is Juan John Lardizabal. My family live here in Sunny Eyes in Ocean Reserve.
Okay,
Okay. He is some resident, American resident.
you can speak in Spanish.
Yeah, my reflection is one significant number of all buildings in the city in this moment have ordinary expensive, extraordinary expensive, and the new increase. I think this year and the next year is one problem for more people, for more proprietary the buildings. My reflection is, please, all the prudence in English, to the decision to the new fiscal impost. Sorry, excuse me. It's only my reflection. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public speakers?
No, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Viscar, did you want to ask any questions or add anything about the budget? Commissioner Lama?
I'm good.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, I would just like to have it stated on the record that there is, for the next fiscal budget, there is no money whatsoever for the Dune Master Plan on the part of the city.
Mayor,
Yes, please.
that's correct. There are no monies associated with the Dune Master Plan.
Great. Thank you.
For the next budget year.
Thank you for
Correct.
that
For the next
clarification.
budget year.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So before I take a motion, I just wanted to say that I think that what we've been doing is pretty consistent with what the rest of the municipalities have been doing, and the county specifically. Like I said earlier, there was a meeting with the county mayor, and it's pretty solid. The same thing that's important to us is important to the county, and so we're going to continue to have that support, safety, standard of living, and infrastructure. And I think that the city manager and staff have done really a phenomenal job in making this work. So with that, I'll take a motion.
I'd just like to make one comment now.
Of course.
I'm not gonna be the
Please.
fly in the ointment on this one, because
Please.
unlike millage rates, budgets can be amended, so I know that there's flexibility there. But it's apples to apples, right? The county's one thing. The municipalities that are situated like us, affluent, low millage municipalities, have held steady. They've held steady. We're the only ones, to my knowledge, that are going in a different direction. But that vote has been cast already. So
Okay.
that's all. That's my
So
only
I'll
comment.
take a motion for the budget. Thank
I
you.
would just like to say that it is not a absorbent amount, though, so I believe that it doesn't injure us to any extent.
I don't
Okay.
think it's going to sink us. I just think, obviously, I made my points. Like
Okay,
obviously,
to
I'm on the other
case, I
side.
would
But
not have agreed to
I'll
it.
make a motion for the budget.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second, but I wanted to say thank you to the staff
Yeah.
for putting up with
Yes,
us.
thank you,
and putting
everyone.
up with all the political theater. So thank you again, and your work is well recognized. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
So,
Roll call.
please.
Commissioner Viscara,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph,
Yes.
Commissioner Lama,
Yes,
Mayor Svechen.
Yes.
The budget ordinance passes on first reading 4-0. Second reading has been scheduled for September 14th, 2023 at 6:15.
Okay, thank you. And before we adjourn, I know that we do this every year, and obviously I wasn't sitting here when this was done, but I want to say a special, extra special thank you to the city manager. You could say putting up with us, but I think that for being open and available and adding the workshop when we didn't even ask for it in order to really flush this through. And I know that we all have very different personalities, and we all are very passionate about our constituents. Because that's why we sit up here. And you have a really tough job, and I appreciate what has been done by you specifically. Obviously, the staff did the heavy lifting, but with your leadership and really understanding how the dynamics work, and pushing this forward so that we were not in a critical place today, which we could have been. So I thank you, and I thank the staff very, very much.
Mayor?
Yes.
Respond? You made the comment about putting up with you. I'd say that's probably appropriate for all of you. No, but seriously, we have set out to put together a budget, and it's truly been an inclusive process with you. As I mentioned during the budget, we had meetings with all of you where we went through the budget line by line. And you've asked a lot of questions, and we've answered. For me, I think that I want to give credit to the staff who spent a significant amount of time on this, and including Audra, Tiffany, Susan. We've all delved in, and my success is only because of them. But in this process, it's been unprecedented, like you said, Mayor, where we've spent one-on-one time with all of you. So I thank you for your leadership and guidance, and thank you.
All right,
I'd like
so
to
with
say
that,
something,
please go
if you
ahead,
don't mind.
if you
Thank you.
promise to make the motion to
And-
adjourn.
Yes. And Mr. City Manager, I would like to again commend you for being able to turn the mayor around and her detractors. I know you were spoken badly about at the beginning of the mayor's term, but I'm glad to see that you've turned her around. It's nice to see that it's good for the city.
Okay, thank you for that inaccurate comment. I need a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Thank you.